Okay, let's go ahead and call our meeting to order. We welcome you to our August meeting. And we're going to start off by recognizing our Veteran of the Month. And Dennis is going to update us on your husband, Sandra.
All right, it's my honor to speak about Mr. Haynes. Specialist 4, John Nolan Haynes. He will be our Veteran of the Month for August of 2023. He was inducted into the United States Army on January the 8th, 1959. Following basic training, Mr. Nolan served as an air defense fire system crew member at Fort McPherson. During his time in the service, he achieved the rank of Specialist 4 and was awarded the Good Conduct Medal. Spec 4 Haynes was honorably discharged on January the 6th, 1961. And Spec 4 Haynes lived his entire life in Ball Ground in Cherokee County. He married his loving wife, Sandra, in 1964 after leaving the service. They were married for 59 years and have 3 children. He was a member of Sharp Top Baptist Church, Ball Ground, as well as Masonic Lodge, Order of the Eastern Star. He was elected to the Ball Ground City Council in 1985 and served until 1988. And as a city council member, he was part of a group that made several significant changes to our community. Those changes included development of the fire district tax, obtaining liability insurance, and the approval of the Cherokee Village subdivision. And while seemingly insignificant by today's standards, he also worked to obtain Ball Ground's very first computer and very first copy machine. Sadly, he passed away on May 7th, 2023 at the age of 84. He's represented tonight by his family, wife Sandra, and children Terry, Becky, and Jody, and extended family and friends to accept his award and recognition posthumously. Please stand and recognize the family of Specialist 4, John Nolan Haynes, as our August 2023 Veteran of the Month. Crowded up here. Haynes? Can we bring you up? I'm going to read a proclamation from the mayor. Whereas in 1954, President Dwight D. Eisenhower signed the first Veterans Day proclamation, calling on our nation to pay appropriate homage to the veterans of all its wars who have contributed so much to the preservation of this nation. And whereas our nation has fought and continues to fight battles around the world, the words of that first proclamation still ring true. Let us solemnly remember the sacrifices of all those who fought so valiantly on the seas, in the air, and on foreign shores to preserve our heritage of freedom, and let us reconsecrate ourselves to the task of promoting an enduring peace so that their efforts shall not have been in vain. And whereas we remember with somber and grateful hearts those men and women who have served in the United States of America with distinction and valor as soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines, and offer our sincere prayers for those who continue to defend the principles on which our nation was founded. And whereas the state of Georgia is home to more than 753,000 veterans and tens of thousands of our nation's military families, we are proud to recognize our country's veterans and extend the appreciation of our citizens to those who wear the uniform of the United States forces and serve on the front lines preserving freedom and liberty. Now therefore I, A.R. Roberts III, Mayor of the City of Ball Ground, do hereby proclaim John Nolan Haynes as Veteran of the Month for the month of August and extend to him our sincere appreciation for his sacrifice and contributions he has made to our great nation and community. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of this city to be affixed this 10th day of August, 2023. A.R. Roberts III, Mayor.
Thank you. He's a better reader than I am. But I want to add that I joined the city when Nolan was on the council. So I joined a year in '86, and so I was with him for 3 years, and I have such great memories of him. He was very active in getting our city going finally, and but I'm awfully proud to have known that he was served in the military and was given the award today.
He was very proud of us.
So I appreciate what he did for our city and for the country. So at this time, we're going to pledge allegiance to the flag, and we're going to ask you to lead us.
Let me give you this first. This is a challenge coin that we give to our Veterans of the Month. It has our Veterans Memorial behind us and the seal of the City of Ball Ground, and also the proclamation.
Will join us, lead us in the pledge, please.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Photographs?
Photograph.
Y'all want to come down?
Stand up for the photograph.
We do this as a joint picture.
Change back. And Logan, Tyler, these two boys, Nolan raised them from the time they was born to when she went back to work till they started to school.
I'll scoot that way, towards your right, move towards your right, so we can get, go that way. Sandra, go down that way.
Any family members going to take pictures? You good?
Well, Chad was taking them.
Yeah, I got some.
Okay.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you for coming and saying,
If I ever did it,
well, where you?
we don't have to stay for them.
You know,
Thank you.
can be quite boring.
Okay, at this time, let's move forward with our meeting. Get the agenda approved. Eric, there's nothing to be changed before adopting. Approving the agenda. Motion to approve.
I move to approve the agenda.
Okay, Annette, second. Vicki, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we'll move on down the agenda at this point. We have nobody signed up for comments or appearances. Should I make that offer? Anybody want to address the council on any issue? Okay, we'll move on then. Eric?
Yes, sir. Next event's coming up September 9th. Guardians of the Jukebox will be back in the city. It was a band everybody enjoyed. October 7th will be the Ball Ground Rocks Festival. And December 1st is the March of the Toys for Tots Parade.
That on November the 11th, we'll have a Veterans Memorial Ceremony.
Yes.
That will be a lot of downtown, very busy, big crowds coming in for that. Okay, thank you, Eric. Okay, we have been given a copy of the agenda, the minutes from July the 13th. Where Karen? There she is. Any changes or comments about the minutes? If not, motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Okay, Chris, second.
I'll second.
Scott, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous. We have no old business. We have I think, a fairly short meeting tonight. We've got a couple of new business items, but we have no old business. So we'll move right now to the first new business, which is consider the first reading of hotel motel tax ordinance. Eric, if you would, give us an update for the visitors here.
Yes, sir. It's called hotel motel, but it also applies to short-term rentals, Airbnb, VRBO. So we have no hotels or motels, but we do have the short-term rentals in the city. The proposal in the ordinance is for a 5% tax. 3% of those funds would be used on infrastructure enhancements and events in the downtown. 2% by state law is restricted on the promotion of events in the city. Can't be used on an event, but can be used for advertising and anything to attract tourism. If this is accepted this evening as a first reading, we will transmit it to the Georgia Department of Community Affairs for their review for compliance with state law, and hopefully they will return it in time for a second reading next month. If not, we'll just put it on whatever month once they return it. The tax does not go into effect until 2 months after adoption.
Okay, my comment that this is something that most of the other cities that we're competing with have. They receive a lot of hotel motel tax because they have hotels. We hopefully one day will have something additional, but this will give us some additional money we can spend to improve our downtown and tourism and visitors and letting people know, I guess, publicizing. So we're moving forward on this for the first time. Even though we don't have a hotel, we are expecting to have a number of short-term rental properties, and they're under construction now, so that will generate additional funds again for our use for tourism and to promote visitors into our city. Okay, this time, could I have a motion to approve the first reading?
Motion to approve.
Okay, Dennis. Second?
Second.
Chris? Okay, any discussion or comments from council? Okay, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
All opposed? Any opposed? Okay, that's unanimous. We'll have a second reading in September. Next item under new business is consider adoption of a resolution whereas the mayor and city council pledges to practice and promote civility in the city of Ball Ground. Civility is becoming something that is very coming throughout the state, in different cities. And Scott, you're going to update us on what we're going to be promoting, please.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, our work session is pretty much how we act now. We're pretty civil with each other. Even if somebody disagrees with another party, we are very civil about it and understanding. And there's not a lot of that going around in the United States right now. And a lot of the public has, when surveyed, they said that's very important to them, and that you have leadership and leaders of cities and states, et cetera, that are civil to each other and understanding and work together to have resolutions to some of the concerns and problems instead of backbiting and fighting amongst each other. And so at a recent conference with the Georgia Municipal Association, that was brought up and shared about the various cities that are noted as cities of civility. And one of them that's close to us right now is Canton, and there's some other neighbors around us that are just as much. I think there's 77 in the state right now that have pledged that. So I bring that forward to us to make that same pledge. And as I said, I feel we already are doing that. We're very civil and work well together. And so we need to be part of that as well, to show our citizens and ourselves what that really truly means.
I absolutely agree, Scott. I don't get to vote unless there's a tie. But I would say that I was at the same conference in Savannah, and that's becoming something that's really a lot of cities are paying attention to and jumping on that civility effort, because there are a lot of cities that between the people that live in the city and the people that are elected officials, they fight on everything. We don't do that. We're going to be nice to our people, and hopefully vice versa. But we will be listening. We always listen for input on things we do. But again, Scott has updated us, and if that's okay, let's move forward and ask for a motion to approve this resolution for make it a city of civility.
So moved.
Okay, Annette?
Second.
Scott? Okay, any comments, questions, discussion from council? If not, I'll call for a motion for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Good. That makes us, I'm real proud that we're in, the numbers growing across the state, but certainly Canton did it earlier, and I'm glad we're following what they did. The third item is a bit of an unusual item. We're in where we are in Cherokee County in the Atlanta region. We're limited to outside burning in the whole region. It's from May through September. In Ball Ground and Alpharetta, we don't allow it year round. But Eric, update us please on what's needed because of all the storms that happened.
With the storms that blew through a couple weeks ago, Cherokee County obtained from the state a blanket waiver to lift the burn ban within Cherokee County for the purpose only of disposing of storm debris on properties. Of course, that blanket applies in the city only if the council chooses to adjust their permanent ban on outdoor burning. At the work session, I think the general consensus was, in an effort still to try and keep the heavy smoke out of the valley, to do a temporary lift of the burn ban on properties east of Northridge Road, on lots over 1 acre, between the hours of 8 p.m. and 6 p.m., and that the fire must be attended.
8 a.m.
Pardon me? 8 a.m.?
Yeah, you said 8 p.m.
Oh, I'm sorry. 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and the fire must be attended at all times. This will automatically sunset on September 14th unless council chooses to extend it again at that time, and this would be for storm debris only as well.
Okay, go ahead and call.
We'll put that as a communication if approved, so.
It's approved, yes. We would put it on the website. I'd do the email update, and I would also notify we only think have one HOA that would pertain to, so we'd communicate that to the HOA as well, because the other HOAs don't have lots large enough.
Okay, could I ask for a motion to approve this temporary lift of the burning ban?
I make a motion to approve the temporary burn ban.
I'll second.
Lifting it for that particular defined area.
Correct. And dates.
Okay? Any,
You're going to add the extra wording on that it must be monitored, the burn at all times, correct?
Yes, I'll work with Karen to have it in the minutes exactly how we just presented it here.
Okay.
And I'll make sure to say 8 a.m.
date would that begin?
Begin tomorrow.
Okay. We vote on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that'll help some people in our city that had a lot of storm damage, to get rid of fallen trees and cracked limbs, and we've had some very bad experiences here this summer. Okay, that concludes the new business items. Eric, do you want to move now with your report? Chief, yeah, I've got Chief Reeves. Do you want him to give a report?
Yes, we'll start tonight with Chief Reeves on his report, and I'll try to reboot this.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I've got a brief monthly report here. You have a copy of the monthly report that I send out. Kind of gives a breakdown of some of our activities and calls for service, citations, and things like that. One thing I'll add on our calls for service, and I don't know if y'all understand exactly how we do our calls for service, the way we track them, those calls for service are not all 911 dispatch calls, not calls that are coming into the center that's sent out to us over the radio. It's a lot of times it's self-generated activity, it's traffic stops, it's extra patrols. We do a lot of extra patrols on new construction areas, residential neighborhoods, subdivisions, things like that. And then a lot of times, we get the vacation request checks, like when somebody goes out of town, they can fill out the form that's online. We go out, check the house while they're gone, things like that. And that's what this total is. I think it's the 265 for the month of July. I noticed there's a big difference from July of last year to this year, but that's about almost 3 people short from last year. I say it's at least 2, because we had one to resign in July, or the 1st of July, and then we've had one that's been on light duty, so he's not been able to go out and work and do everything.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
On your calls for service, do you ever break those down? Like, how many?
I have a way to do that, but there's a lot of pages in this new program we've got. But I can provide you a copy of that
That
shows
would be great.
how many vacation checks or how many things we do.
Absolutely, whether it's.
Yeah. Traffic stop or whatever it is, we can.
Just whatever.
Yeah, we do. I do have a way. The program I had before had a really nice way to do that. And then the system we were using changed hands, and it was same company, new branding, and I'm kind of learning how to do it. And honestly, the last time I printed it, the letters were so small I couldn't figure out how to get them bigger. So I didn't want y'all to sit up here trying to figure out what it said. But I can next time. I can try to print out a better report than this. I'll still do the summary, but I will try to do kind of break it down to what those calls are. But I can just tell you right now, the majority of them are going to be extra patrols, because that's what most of what we do is out while we're patrolling, and we log it into our daily activity. And like I said, I'm not going to go through all the events that we had, just a couple. I guess one of the major ones was on the 17th. Sergeant Young and Officer Withington responded to a hit-and-run accident on Highway 5 at the four-way stop. The vehicle, the witness said they left, went to the parking lot of the Universal Alloy, made contact with the vehicle. The female driving the vehicle gave a name. So anyway, they wound up arresting her anyway because there was some meth found in the car and other things. And then after she was fingerprinted at the jail, it was determined she gave a false name. So then there was more charges came for providing a false name to the officers. And she tried to put up a little bit of a fight too as they were trying to take her into custody. So that's why you see the obstruction charge on there. And on the 20th, you know that we had the storms come through. I was actually on my way home and didn't make it because, number one, for the trees that were across Highway 53 on my way home. So I had to turn around and come back. And then the tree that you've seen on the tractor trailer up here. And actually, there was another tree. This tree up here on 372 actually fell on a car as well. Luckily, no one was hurt, but it did keep the road tied up for quite some time. But luckily, that's the only two major things we had in the city on that day. A couple other things, just kind of a update on our positions that we have. You know, we have one that was vacated, and then we were approved for a second position. So far, we have had 0 applicants. We've had one. We're kind of trying to working out some things with him right now. He's got some issues from where he was at his other department as far as, I guess he left while he was under like a contract type thing, but we're trying to figure out if he's able to be released from that or not. And other than that, that's the only responses we've really had for that. Kind of give you I'm going to start, since I'm doing this monthly, I'll try to give you an update on our progress as far as we're trying to obtain state certification. And as you know, it's a very lengthy and tedious and long process. Just for an example, there's 141 standards that the state requires an agency to have, and that's through policy, procedures, and the way we do things. Currently, I've completed or in progress 27 of those standards. Our policies are up to date, they're good, but it's going through each policy for that individual standard to make sure we have the verbiage that's needed, apply it to that program we have, which was the Power DMS program that we got a while back. And then it's just document things. You have to show that, like our evidence room, we have to show where we've audited it, and then we have to show that. And then you have to have a complete year of that stuff to go in the file before you can, I guess the way the process works, before they can come in and say, okay, yeah, you're good. So we're like I said, we're in that process. We've started that process. I've been working on it when I have time and when things permit me to be able to. But one thing we're looking at, I've been speaking with some other agencies around, and they have people that are nearing the retirement time that actually do this for that agency. And the chief I talked to, he said that this may be a good person to contact to maybe do some contract work, to come in and like help do this, because I know a lot about how to do it, but there's a lot of the things I really don't know how to do. I mean, it's something we've never done. It's something I've never done. Policies and stuff I'm pretty good on, but applying them to this standards and making them fit where they need to fit. And if we could get somebody that actually knows this, that does this on a yearly basis for this agency, or however, 3 years or 4 years, however it is, would help a lot as far as getting that done. Another thing, we've actually been talking to a retired investigator with the district attorney's office. We're in conversations with him about him coming in and helping us out as far as part-time investigating some things. He's very good in juvenile investigations, and he's very good on GCIC policy, which is Georgia Crime Information Center, as far as when we run things on our computers. And that's a whole nother set of rules that you got to follow. And there's procedures and policies in place that we have in place, but we have to make sure we're following that, because the GBI comes in and has to audit that every 3 years, I believe it is. So, and we're coming up probably next month for an audit on that. So I want to make sure everything's good on that. So we have been in talks with him. He's interested. Now it's just kind of working out some kinks, I guess, as far as what it'll take to try to get him to come and help us out with some investigations and stuff. As you know, I think y'all approved it several months ago that we exchanged our handguns for, we went from 40 calibers to 9 millimeters. That's all been completed and done. They've all been issued out. The old guns have been taken back in on trade. They switched out a lot of ammo that we had. They gave us a good deal on that and actually worked with us real well with that. So that's all completed now. And then just to top it off today, we actually finished up our annual training we did our use of force mandated training today as a department whole. So we got all that done today. Everybody's caught up and we're good. And I think it's good because it's August and all of our training's done. So that's all I have on that. Anybody got any questions or comments or anything you want to? Oh, I'm sorry. Well, that was this month, but that's fine. No, you're good. It went okay. We didn't have as much attendance as I was hoping, but we had 2 or 3 couples come in, and then we actually had a family that has a homeschool, some kids, and they came in. They was, I think, 6 maybe kids, and they actually they have a Ball Ground mailing address, but they live almost in Dawson County, so But they said they come to Barrel House all the time. They love ball ground, love coming to downtown, so they came in and sat with us, and the kids asked all kinds of questions.
We saw you.
But it was good.
With the school too.
Huh?
We saw you pretty active with the school.
Oh, yeah, we had first day of school. I left that out. I forgot about that, too. Kind of hard to forget that. But, yeah, we had the first day of school. It went well. I know the mornings, the traffic's kind of backed up, and then the afternoons, the traffic's kind of backed up. But we've been able to, I kind of go up where the car rider line is and help get the kids out and things like that in the mornings and afternoons. And then usually I try to have somebody down here at the entrance for at least the first 2 weeks till it gets kind of the kinks worked out of it. What we've been doing, and it's worked pretty good so far, is we'll tell everybody to come down here, turn around, and go back, because everybody trying to turn left stops and nobody wants to budge. Nobody wants to let anybody turn, and then somebody wants to turn, and then you just got both lanes blocked. So we send everybody down here, turn around, and come back. And we've only had maybe 3 or 4 people say that that's stupid. You shouldn't do that. But we got to have at least one lane open to let a fire truck and school buses through. But other than that, it's been a busy last few weeks with the first day of school and all that. So.
I just got a question.
Yeah.
With the 9 millimeters, is everybody already qualified?
Yes, we did. We qualified with them. The guy with, I believe, Amchar, I always want to call it armchair, but it's spelled AMCHAR. Amchar is the name of the company. And the guy came up, he put the sights on for us, he took it to the range, he shot all of them, and then everybody qualified
And then,
before we issued them.
Comment about the state certification program. As far as I know, unless something's changed, you don't have to wait a year. You can have a certain amount of policies that haven't been tested yet, so they used to call them wet ink. It's a new policy, fresh policy, but for instance, a use of deadly force, which hopefully we never have, but that's not gonna.
Yeah, that's not really changed.
You don't have to wait for that. But if you need any assistance with state certification, I was on the original committee that formed the standards. Be glad to help out.
Yeah. The things, I've got the policies, I pretty much got all the policies I need, I'm pretty sure. Just some of the wording, get kind of a little confused on as far as, does this fit this standard and things like that. So maybe one day we can sit down and just look through it.
It's a lengthy process.
The reason I said a year, at the rate I'm going, when I sit down and get to work on it, then the radio goes off, the phone goes off, I have to jump up, go do something, come back. It'll probably take me a year. And the state certification manager Chuck told me, he said, you just need to count for a year to do this. Because that's, he's not there now. So
Yeah, he's just retired.
Yeah. But
most agents.
it is a lengthy process.
It takes a while, and usually they have one full-time person doing that. And, ball grounds having to do this kind of.
What I have to.
One of your many hats.
Yeah.
But the program it's not meant for everybody, and that's why there's not that many agencies in the state of Georgia that have achieved this level of certification.
Well, as you know, we did the lower level, the risk management certification.
Yes.
So that's kind of I thought it was a stepping stone to it. And to me, it is, but they were kind of like, no, it's separate. I'm like, well, it gets the foundation laid, in my opinion, to jump on over to that, to try to at least get you in that.
That was also my program, because when I was president of the Georgia Association of Chiefs of Police, I wanted to have a program that was available for law enforcement agencies of this size that could not right away meet all of the 141 standards, but it gave them a stepping stone.
And to go back and talk about those standards, there's a lot of standards that we can have waivers for. Like, we don't have holding cells, we don't have a jail, we don't have we're part of CMANS, the multi-agency task force, but we don't have anybody assigned to it. So we don't have to have a policy that says.
Civil process.
And those, like what sheriff's offices do as far as paperwork, serving papers and things like that. So there's one whole chapter, I think it's chapter 9, that will probably just be exempt from the whole thing because it deals mostly with courthouse security, jails, and things like that.
I'll be happy to help you.
Well, I appreciate that. I need all the help I can get.
It's not that bad.
No, and I tell you what has really helped, and I thank y'all for allowing us to get it, is that Power DMS.
Our DMS is a wonderful thing.
Keyword, word search, and it's been really helpful, really helpful.
Thank you.
All right.
that will.
I just wanted to add real quick, we were fortunate on that hit and run for the officers to be able to find it. But I thought to myself, when you said that flock cameras will be nice once we get them up too.
Well, quick
because-
story about the flock cameras. One day last week, I can't remember what day it was. My days run together. They gave out a hit on the camera at Fairview and Highway 5, stolen car out of Gordon County. All they said was a tag number. So I'm coming through town this way, and I see a car, and I thought, something just told me that car. Well, as it's going by, look, it's the tag number for that car. So by the time I finally got turned around to get behind it, it was about 5 cars behind, in between me and them, so I'm radioing ahead saying, I'm behind the car. So finally, we got enough deputies and everybody involved, they got it stopped over at the roundabout.
And that'll be great.
And it
once
was
we
in
get-
fact a stolen car. It had a runaway juvenile that had stolen the car, and then 3 other juveniles from Calhoun and Chatsworth area.
Yeah, so that'll be great when we get more of the flock cameras throughout.
I talked to the sheriff today. He said they're still in the process of getting all the grant work done and everything that they got to get those cameras, so it's a process for that.
Right.
But I think he said they're adding 45, I think, to what they already had, counting the 4 that were getting.
It's a huge tool for you guys.
It's an amazing thing, and
Right.
it works really well.
Yep.
All right, thank you very much.
Chief, thank you for the update.
All right,
It's
thank you.
Good information.
Moving on into the other items, we closed July with a fund balance of $2.6 million between all funds. July is the first month of our fiscal year. Across all funds, we had a total revenue of $416,000 against expenses of about $295,000, and our year-to-date numbers are the same. On the administrative side, been working on resolving payables and receivables for year-end, preparation for the annual audit, which I believe is 3rd week in September. Working on the 2024 calendar of events. Done an update of the employee handbook now that we've exceeded 15 employees to make sure that ADP took us through it, because there's different rules we have to play by now once you surpass that number of employees. So that has been added and done. And we're coordinating more GMA training for our admin staff, especially finding our customer base. Sometimes it's getting a little bit more angry, and we need a little bit more training in not escalating that. Working with it, there's a lot of, I think a lot of misunderstandings, so we're going to try some other communicating techniques and whatnot, but the fact that when a power pole is knocked down, the city we can't put up a power pole. You hate to throw Georgia Power under the bus, but that's not our lane. We can't work on cable TV when it's out or internet when it's out and these different things. So, but just giving us as staff more tools to help communicate better with our customers. On capital projects, paving and maintenance, the crew will be on site, supposed to be on site now in 2 weeks to begin resurfacing of Northridge Road, the entirety of it that's within the city. The estimate provided by Johnson Paving is $112,000. We have this budgeted in the capital improvement plan at $125,000. The nice thing, we did receive a grant from Georgia DOT for $39,000 and change to help assist with that project. On the roundabout, no change since last month, still on track for a bid let in December. Same with State Route 372, no changes there. We still anticipate that we will be out to bid for engineering services in September. On the loading and unloading zone downtown, we're back to the drawing table here. A couple of us, me namely, forgot about the ramp that comes out of the back of a food truck. So it adds 17 feet to the project where we can't be getting within that safety drop of the rail. We've re-engaged with A&R Engineering that did our traffic study, and they will be coming to town to observe the downtown area, help us identify a good spot to have a loading unloading zone. And while they're here, they will also reassess Valley Street and look where we can have the traffic calming devices put in, whether it be raised crosswalks or speed tables, something, not speed bumps, but tables, something along that nature. So they'll be doing that while they're here as well. Sidewalk extension across the rail downtown, that work began yesterday. Emailed Mr. Barnes. I think this is the first time in I don't know how long we had a contractor that said we're going to start August 9th. And at 7 o'clock on the 9th, they were in the parking lot. And I was like, that was great. The bad news on this project is we got the notice today from Patriot Rail. They've increased their flagging rates to $2,200 per day. So we will need flagging for 2 days, one of the days that the train doesn't even run. But it's part of the cost of dealing with the railroad. By last number, that's probably going to put us over budget by about $200 or $300. Accessibility improvements. We held our breath on this project. Nobody likes using sledgehammers and saws next to a 100-year-old foundation. But everything did get out without damaging the building or any of the glass. It's re-poured and should open that up tomorrow. Mountain Brook sidewalk extension. The one change here that's significant is our cost estimate for the city has dropped to $183,600 based on the last agreement verbal that we have with the county. Is that now instead of making us pay on the areas where the property is in the city, they're only going to make us pay on the areas where the road is in the city, which is much less. Basically, it'll pick up right there at just the other side of Preston Manor. So like that big stretch where Mr. Briggs lives, his place is in the city, but the road isn't. So we won't have to pay for that segment anymore. So that's a savings of right around $100,000. Stripling Street Stormwater Project, we thought we were complete. You start a project and then neighbors would like a little something extra, and it was valid. So we're going to be expanding that 23 more feet to the east and another 13 feet to the west to kind of corral up all the stormwater in that area. But what's done now, that's the safest that road has ever been. Stormwater is one thing, but there's no longer a 2-foot straight drop off the edge of asphalt. So significant. We'll get this out to the elected body next week. This is too small to read, but the capital improvement plan, just for a heads up, when you receive it, it'll be an Excel spreadsheet. Items in yellow are being worked on. Items in green are completed. Items in red have been dropped, and the clear items have no action yet at this time. And again, this is through, I want to say this plan goes through 2027. So we're making good headway right on the front end of the plan. Public Works and business activities. Lead and copper sampling made its way to the laboratory today. It was hand delivered. It's the most difficult sampling we do. We're required to do it every 3 years. What makes it difficult is EPD tells us what homes get tested, but we don't get to test it. You deliver the bottle and the paperwork to the customer. The customer has to certify over a 24-hour period when's the last time they used their water. Then they have to certify when they took the sample, which has to be a minimum of 6 hours after the last time it was used. The water has to sit in the pipe 6 hours without movement. And all bottles have to be to the laboratory within 10 days of the date that the first sample is collected. And it's really difficult because you have somebody that gets up in the middle of the night and forgets about it, and, or you uses the restroom or takes the shower before collecting the morning sample, and you're waiting another 24 hours to try and catch that sample again. And they have to sign an affidavit saying they've done it. So we made it with 3 days to spare. and we didn't trust the Postal Service. We delivered it to the lab over in Norcross today. Just daily challenges, one of the interesting things our guys deal with. This is new development. Made them tear the sidewalk up because if you notice, they put the sidewalk in right on top of our water valves. You can see right down in here. So, and they hadn't turned the water on to these 2 fire hydrants. On our water purchase point, the application for boring of the rail has been submitted. Application for boring of Old Canton Road is being prepared now, and our request for a meter set has been submitted. So once we get that together, we'll be able to start making this connection, which will be a huge pressure adjustment for our folks in the Mountain Brook community. Our capacity study, still working on that. We will have the report to mayor and council at the October meeting, but all lift stations, we've collected all the data. Now it's just running the numbers and doing the modeling. Stormwater, we had 12 ponds inspected in this last cycle by a third-party engineering firm. We anticipate having the reports on that next week. Our obligation is then to provide the owner of the ponds with the report and the corrective action that they have to take on each of those ponds. Solid waste, still exploring alternatives there, and we'll be drafting an RFP for mayor and council to take a look at. On recreation and parks, said it the correct way this time. Pocket Park project, the committee for the Pocket Park committee will be meeting Tuesday with a rep from Safe Play on shade sales. Residential shade sales aren't going to cut it. So the commercial ones rated for 120-mile-an-hour winds in the post. So we'll meet on site with them. It's Tuesday at 2:30, I think. Correct. Roberts Lake Trail video. The video is completed, received. It'll be on the website as soon as it's reformatted, and it's actually being played for the first time tonight at the awards thing in Cherokee County. The trail extension had been moved to September. We lost our Eagle Scout on the project, so we'll be finishing it in-house, except for the mulching, which we've hired a contractor to do. On playground renovation at Calvin Farmer Park, our mulch is depleted and not code compliant, so we need to remulch. Rather than remulching right now, we have Safe Play also coming in to give us a price on removing the mulch, repairing the drainage that's in place, and coming back with a rubber mulch. We did look at the rubberized surface, which they have advised against because they said our playground equipment, while still in good shape, they figure has 10 to 15 years of life left in it, and the product that they put down as a surface would have about 30 years of life in it. So you wouldn't want to tear it up and whatever, said just next time we replace equipment to use that better surface. But we're looking for rubber so we just don't have the constant deterioration of the mulch, which is what's stopping up our drains. Community development, working on a draft parks master plan. That draft is ready to go to the Parks Committee and be distributed probably next week when we get together. Work and research on the hotel motel ordinance. The short-term rental ordinance, I think proposal on that came out to the elected body by email today. And also I think the proposed vending ordinance came out by email today. Final plat review on the townhome development. Impact fees, they've telling us now that September we will have our first draft on the methodology for mayor and council to look at and consider for transmittal to DCA. Building permits for the year, or for the month of July, we issued 1 permit, took us 77 for the year. Last year was a total of 94. We'll be right in that same ballpark again this year. On the active development report, we have approved 361 units where lots are already prepped or being prepared. and 83 of those are currently permitted. Still working with Pulte Homes on the potential development just north of the Mountain Brook subdivision. On commercial development, working through plans on the package store and restaurant and dry cleaner that be down at the intersection. We had another meeting with their engineering and construction team yesterday. Medical office building, I think everybody sees they're at work down there now, moving along well there. Convenience store, we've reached out to their legal counsel. It's kind of stalled and we're not hearing from the developer themselves. Just touch base with their legal counsel, who we have a relationship with, just to see if we can find out what's going on there.
Is that the white bill, the white one? Convenient,
It's at the traffic light.
I like the traffic light.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
Infrastructure acceptance, we've completed the inspection at Mountain Brook. I hope to issue those letters tomorrow on what the developer will need to do prior to consideration for adoption. Working with the, and communicating with the HOA president on that as we move through it. That is the month. Any questions?
Okay, thank you, Eric. Let me at this time say to the council, I apologize for missing our work session last week. Eric does keep me updated on everything that we talked about, but I'll try not to do that again. I want to make a comment about Eric. We rag on him all the time. He's such an important part of our city. In the last couple of months, I've actually gone to sewer and water breaks to see, and he's right there in the middle working. He knows so much for a city manager about how infrastructure, the details. But I wanted to let people know that he has just been elected chairman of the Cherokee County Water and Sewer Authority. And that's a huge benefit for that water authority, because he knows probably knows more than anybody that works there.
No.
Well, very close, but they're very impressive. They assist us with issues that we have with water or sewer, and but I'm telling you, it's very valuable for us to have him serving as chairman of that commission. So, congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you, appreciate it, and appreciate the kudos, but we have a great team here. The team here is phenomenal, and I couldn't be more blessed, and especially whether it's our folks at the front counter or whether it's out there, not one of these people we have has to go home until the job is done. And sometimes those are tremendously long nights, and they just do it. So we have a great group of people, and we're blessed.
That's right, and the ones I've visited, for the most part, we've had a lot of our workers there doing what they should be doing. They knew what to do, but again, Eric he just is amazing how informed he is about all parts of water and sewer issues. So, again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Annette, you have anything you want to bring up tonight?
I don't think so.
Okay, Chris?
I did have a question for Eric real quick. And we put a lot on your shoulders. We're always texting him, emailing him, calling him. Some days I wonder how he deals with it all. But as you were talking about the employees, and we have a great set of people from administrative to out in the field that's working, we had talked briefly about adding them to the website so people can put that face to see who it is. And how long they've been here or what they do
Right.
and,
And we're working on that and a
Okay.
little short bio for each
Right.
person, just
Good.
who they are and what they do. And like I said, I think when people look at it also, one of the greatest gifts we have in a large section of the city is longevity. You know, we've got some folks that have stayed with us,
25, 30 years probably, or longer.
38. But yeah, I mean, I think David's pushing 30.
He's pushing 30, right?
So institutional knowledge in the field is irreplaceable,
Yeah.
you know, because they remember, I dug this up and I think it was 96, we dug this up and that went over there and this went over here, because everything wasn't GIS then. And if you ever look at David's phone, he takes a picture of every hole he's in. So they might be there in the rain for a while, but he'll find how that was put together and go back and have it. So,
And that's why I think it's so important that
Yes, ma'am.
people get to see these faces and know who they are and how long they've been and what they're doing for the city.
absolutely.
David's anniversary is Monday, 21st, and that's his 28th year. So I try to keep those, so I know. But it's also the day that Vicki and I are going to be at a DDA training. So I'm looking forward to that. That's the advanced DDA course that will help us. I've had it, but it's been so many years, I feel like I need to get updated.
Refresher.
So we're looking forward to that. Dennis, anything you want to bring up?
Just thank everybody, your entire staff for making it through the storms. I know there were some long nights, and we all appreciate how quickly things were cleared up and we were able to get back to business.
Thank you. I'll do that, sir.
Vicki?
Okay.
Okay. Scott, anything you want to add?
I do. As a chair for the Finance Committee, I wanted to recognize Donna and the group that helps her. You're about to go into, I believe, audit season, getting all that together, and I know that's a lot of stress and a lot of work and getting everything together. So I thank you. Another face that's behind the scenes that keeps our budgets on track and our spending and accounts flowing the right way for everybody to get, from the staff to get paid, to the contractors, to the loans that are out, all the numbers that are in there. So every time I reach out to Donna with a question about something, she's very detailed, very informative, and reports right back. So thank you very much.
Yes, our auditors, I think, really appreciate how much information she's able to provide when they get here, already ready. And that historically that was harder, but she does an outstanding job. That's why we get that award every year. Let me ask, Karen, you want to add anything?
No, sir, I'm good.
Darrell?
No, sir.
I might say one more time, anybody want to address the council on any issue before we adjourn? Okay, if not, let's move on out. Motion to adjourn. Please.
Second?
All right. Thanks for coming.